This is a female Apistogramma Cacatuoides outside of her coconut cave with a group of young fry. The fry were born inside this cave from eggs that took 3 days to hatch, and now the fry are about 5 days old and they've just learned how to swim. But they've had a long day and now it's time for the little ones to go inside the cave for the night. But they won't go in on their own, so their mother has to pick them up and carry them in. And it's not an easy task by any means because they refuse to sit still, so it takes this mother fish quite a while to get everyone tucked in for the night. And some of you may be wondering, how does she know when it's time to bring the fry into the cave for the night? Well, I'm not really sure, but I do keep a fairly regular schedule with the aquarium lights, so maybe she's learned to time it just right. In the wild, there would be a fading of the light in the late afternoon that she could use as a guide, but here in the fish room, the lights don't fade, they just go off. So it's probably just her internal clock keeping some sort of circadian rhythm that puts her right on schedule. And this leads me to wonder, let's say we have a fish species that is notoriously difficult to breed. I wonder if using an automatic dimmer on the aquarium lights could help get some reluctant fish to spawn. There are fish in the wild that will consistently spawn in the early morning or late afternoon. In fact, for many egg scatterers or broadcast spawners, breeding in the late afternoon or early evening makes it much less likely that other fish will find and eat the eggs as they drift downstream in the current. So the changing of the light at dusk or dawn may be an important trigger for some fish to begin spawning. So, if you're having trouble getting a fish to spawn, you may want to try gradually dimming the lights to imitate the rising and setting of the sun. It might seem silly, but it might help, and it certainly can't hurt. Furthermore, fish are at their most colorful when the light hits their scales at about a 45-degree angle. So, fish are at their prettiest in the early morning or late afternoon hours when the sun is low on the horizon. And I really don't think that this is a coincidence, because fish use those bright colors to help them attract breeding partners. And if you look your best in the late afternoon, then that would be the best time to spawn. I know that I look my best right around 6:30 in the afternoon, and then I just get better and better looking as the light fades into complete darkness. Unfortunately, aquarium lights are lit from directly overhead, which isn't the most flattering light for viewing the fish. So, if you'd like to see your fish at their most colorful, then it's best to move the light towards the front of the tank, where it can shine on the scales at an angle rather than from directly overhead. Nonetheless, here we are, it's the late afternoon and this mother fish is still busy tending to her young. And in about 3 months from now, these fry will be about 1.5 inches in length and ready to bring to a local store. And then once they're about 6 months old, they'll be able to start having babies of their own. But for now, they're still under the care of their mother, who devotes every waking minute of her day looking after them to make sure that they're okay. And part of her job is to keep them all together as a tight-knit group, so they're easier to keep track of, and that's why every night as the light begins to fade, she tucks them into the tiny bed that she has made. And it's just a small hole in the sand that she dug herself, but she doesn't need much. Her strength lies not in riches, but in her devotion to a worthy cause, even if it comes at some personal expense. Because some of you may have noticed that she has a small injury to her lower lip. While I can't say for certain how it happened, I do believe that it's caused by the near constant use of her mouth to do so many different things. She uses it to clean the cave walls before she lays her eggs. Then she uses it to tend to the eggs while they develop. And once the eggs have hatched, she relies on her mouth once again to dig pits in the sand that act as little nurseries for the baby fish. And in order to keep the babies in a tight group, she also uses her mouth to pick them up and move them around. So I can see how all of this might take its toll on the mouth of a fish. But just so you know, this injury does heal and never gets any worse than this.